Welcome to Made, the show about building yourself through grit, failure, and perseverance. This is Seth, and today we're talking about designing your life for success. Not by accident, not by luck, but through intentional choices that stack the odds of being successful in your favor. But before we get into that, just a quick announcement. If you've been enjoying this show, I would really appreciate if you would take a second to rate and review the show. So if you're watching this on YouTube, giving it a thumbs up, subscribing, sharing the video, commenting is great. If you're listening on Apple or Spotify, rating the show, giving it 5 stars, it really goes a long way in helping other people discover this podcast. So just take a second. I'd really, really appreciate your support. Today, we are talking about success. Surprise, surprise. And we're talking about one of the parts of success that I think most people overlook. And it's this idea that success should never be a surprise, right? Like if one day you wake up and you're living your dream life, you've achieved all of your biggest goals, you're not going to wake up and be like, oh my God, I made it. Like you really should never have that thought. Because let's be honest, success, it doesn't just happen, okay? It's not luck, and it's definitely not magic. When you look closer at any real achievement, whether it's building a business, whether it's transforming your health, or mastering a craft, it becomes pretty clear that success isn't random, it's designed. So today I'm breaking down what that really means. What does it mean to design your life for success? This isn't a call to push harder. It's an invitation to step back and ask yourself, is my life actually set up to support the goals that I have for myself? This is about the practical architecture of achievement, the environments, the habits, the systems that either propel you forward or hold you back. So let's take this idea that design is intentional, not accidental. You have to stop thinking about success as magical or like something that you hope will find you one day. It's not magic, it's math. Success is simply the accumulation of small decisions, environmental setups, and daily routines that either move you toward or away from your goals. Think of your life like an operating system. Every operating system has default settings. Those defaults determine what happens when you don't make an active choice. They control what apps open when you start your computer, what notifications interrupt your day, and how information is presented to you. Your life also has default settings. The question is, are your defaults designed for growth or are they designed for comfort? Are they optimized for long-term success or short-term relief? You know, most people, they never really question their defaults. They just accept the environment that they find themselves in, and then they wonder, why do I keep getting the same results? But the people who achieve extraordinary things, they design their defaults. They actively build environments where success becomes the path of least resistance. They make good decisions inevitable and bad decisions more difficult. This isn't about willpower. It's not about motivation. It's about making success your new normal by designing it into your everyday life. So let's talk about your environment and how that plays a role in success. Your physical environment is the most underrated factor in your behavior, hands down. We like to think that our actions are driven by our intentions and our willpower, but the reality is actually much simpler than that. We do what's easy and we do what feels good. A friend of mine wanted to start hitting the gym before work, but like most people, he struggled to stay consistent. So instead of relying on motivation, he redesigned his physical environment. So every night before bed, he would lay out his gym clothes, he would fill up his water bottle, he packed his bag, and he even put his keys on top of the bag. And then he started sleeping in his workout shorts. So when his alarm went off, there was no decision to make. There was no friction. Just get up, grab the bag, and go. He didn't do it because he's more disciplined than anyone else. He did it because he removed every excuse in advance. Now he trains 5 days a week without needing to, quote unquote, feel like it. His routine doesn't depend on motivation. It depends on making the right choice the easy one. This is how environmental design works. You want to work out more, you put your gym clothes next to your bed before you go to sleep. You want to eat healthier, keep fruit visible on the counter and hide all your junk food. Or better yet, don't even buy the junk food. You want better sleep, put your phone in another room at night, right? These aren't tricks. They're intelligent design choices that acknowledge how human behavior actually works. We are humans, all right? We are comfort-seeking beings. We always follow the path of least resistance. So it's up to you to make the right path easy. If your life makes good things easy to do and bad things harder to do, then you're already ahead of 95% of people, because most people do the exact opposite. So let's talk about how most people design their lives for failure, right? Without intentional design, without conscious design on our part, most of us default into systems that actively sabotage our goals, right? We create environments that reward our worst behaviors and punish our best intentions. Think about that person who wants to be more productive, but keeps a video game console as the centerpiece of their living room. Or that person trying to drink less who stocks their fridge with beers just in case friends come over. Or the person who wants better focus but keeps weed within arm's reach at all times just for quote unquote stress relief. So this actually reminds me of my own personal life. As some of you might know, I used to struggle with a porn addiction many, many years ago. And I remember at one point on my recovery journey, I had this epiphany as I was standing in my bedroom. I took a look around and it just kind of hit me. I was like, wait, this room was actually designed by a porn addict, right? Like a porn addict put this bed here, and then he put the laptop over there, and then he put his wastebasket over there. Like a porn addict literally designed that room. And so I knew at that moment that if I'm building a new blueprint for myself, then I need to change every part of my physical environment. And so at that moment, I rearranged my entire room, my living room, everything, just so there would be no trace of that porn addict's blueprint living in my space, if that makes any sense. So to be clear, this isn't about morality. I'm not saying video games, beer, or weed are inherently bad. What I'm saying is that if you have goals that require your focus, your energy, and consistent action, then creating an environment that makes distraction and escape the path of least resistance is a design failure. These environmental setups create automatic behavior loops that cost you time, energy, and progress day after day. They make the thing that you say you don't want to do the thing that you inevitably end up doing. The reason bad habits feel so good and rewarding is because your environment is designed to make them that way. Your surroundings are working against your intentions, and until you change that, you'll keep getting the same results no matter how motivated you feel in the moment. So let's talk about reversing pain and pleasure, all right? Success comes when good habits feel good and bad habits feel bad, all right? It is just that simple. Most of us live in the reverse. Our harmful behaviors feel rewarding while the beneficial ones kind of feel like a chore. This is why willpower alone almost never works, because you're always fighting against a rigged game. You need to engineer your environment so that the things that serve you feel effortless and the things that sabotage you feel inconvenient. If you want to stop doom scrolling before bed, then take your charger out of the bedroom. Now your phone's going to die if you doom scroll all night, right? It's immediate friction. If you want to drink less, make alcohol harder to access. Put it on a high shelf in the garage, or better yet, don't keep it in the house at all. Now, drinking requires deliberate effort instead of automatic behavior. Again, immediate friction. Here's the main point. You're not failing at discipline, right? You just haven't built friction into your bad habits and ease into your good ones. That's not a character flaw, it's a design problem. And design problems always have design solutions. All right, so let's talk about another facet of our environment, one that could be sabotaging you, but this one might be a little bit of a harder pill to swallow for some people. But I'm just going to say it, all right? It's not just your physical surroundings that shape your behavior. The people around you, perhaps, are the most powerful environmental force of all. All right, we're talking about your social circle. Habits aren't just internal, they are social. You model behaviors from the people you spend time with, and you do so often without even realizing it. If everyone in your circle drinks every night, then sobriety becomes an act of rebellion rather than a normal choice. If everyone around you, for example, complains about their job, but they never take action to change it, then complacency becomes your default. But the reverse is also true. If you surround yourself with people who talk about growth, resilience, progress, then your standard shifts upwards without you having to force it. Their normal becomes your normal. I'm not saying that you need to ditch all your friends and only hang out with productivity gurus. But what I am saying is that you should be very intentional about who gets the majority of your time and attention. This brings me back to a time in my life in my early 20s when I just moved to LA and I met this group of guys. And yeah, they were my good friends for the first couple years of being in LA. And at a certain point, I felt deep down inside that they were holding me back from living my life the way that I wanted to live my life. They were hindering my success and I was kind of enabling it, right? They liked to party all the time, smoke weed and drink. I liked to go out here and there and drink occasionally, but never to their extent. And so I finally decided to cut ties with them and I went my own way. And it was kind of just eye-opening to see the effect that social group had on me, my life, and just my success overall. So, I'm not saying that you should go cut everyone out of your life willy-nilly, but I would say evaluate the people who are in your circle and really get real with yourself and ask, how are they either helping me or hurting me? And I think you'll be surprised by what you'll find, all right? So the idea here is to curate more than just your furniture, right? We don't want to just stop at the physical environment. Curate your circle because the people around you are silently shaping what you consider to be possible, acceptable, and normal. So we've been talking a good amount about how we're always building our lives for either failure or for success. But what does it look like to actually start designing your life for success? Well, it begins with taking inventory of what you've already built, intentionally or not. I want you to do a total life audit, an environment audit, all right? Look at every aspect of your surroundings with fresh eyes. What's in your bedroom? Is it designed for quality sleep and morning momentum or distraction and avoidance? What's in your fridge? Is it stocked with things that fuel you or things that drain you? What apps are on your phone's home screen? Are they tools for growth or are they portals for escape? What content do you consume? Does it inspire action or foster complacency? Who do you talk to most frequently? Does that person elevate your thinking or reinforce your limitations? Here's the question that cuts to the heart of it. If a stranger walked in your life for a day, what would they say that you've designed your life for? What outcome would that stranger predict for you based solely on your environment? Because here's the truth. You don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. And your environment is the most visible manifestation of those systems. Now, I want to be clear. Designing your life doesn't mean that you're going to get it right the first time, or the second, or the 10th. Design is iterative. It's a process of constant refinement. You try something, you see how it works, you make adjustments, and then you try again. That's not failure. That's just how design works. Most of us are rebuilding from something, whether it's actual failure, burnout, disappointment, or simply the realization that our current path isn't leading where we want it to go. That's not weakness, that's awareness. And awareness is always the first step towards change. The most successful people that I know, they're not the ones who designed perfect lives from the beginning, all right? They're the ones who got better at course correcting over time. They learned to recognize more quickly when something wasn't working, and they weren't afraid to redesign or rebuild. Design in every sense of the word is process, not perfection. The goal isn't to create a flawless system on your first try. The goal is to create a system that gets you moving in the right direction, then refine it as you go. Your life is constantly sending you feedback about your design choices. Are you becoming more of who you want to be, or are you drifting farther away? Are you gaining momentum towards your goals, or are you stuck in place? I want you to walk away understanding that the point of this episode is that success and failure are both predictable. You should never be surprised if you end up successful or a failure by your own standards, all right? Because you'll always be able to trace your actions back to either outcome. Success is nothing more than a series of right decisions over a long period of time, and failure is nothing more than a series of wrong decisions made over a long period of time. So here's what I want you to do. Pick one change in your environment this week that makes a good habit easier and a bad habit harder. Just one. Make it small, make it concrete, and do it today. Maybe it's putting your phone in another room while you work, or maybe it's rearranging your living space so that the first thing you see isn't a screen. Maybe it's setting up a recurring coffee date or a phone call with someone who inspires you. Whatever it is, do it now, because small environmental changes compound over time into dramatic life changes. This show is about building things that matter: your career, your health, your relationships, but none of these things exist in isolation. They're all a part of the same design project, your life. So start designing, not by accident, not by default, but with intention, because success shouldn't be a surprise. It should be the inevitable result of an environment built to create it. That's it for this episode of Made. Thank you so very much for tuning in. Again, if you found this podcast helpful, I would really appreciate your support by rating it, commenting, liking, subscribing, sharing, doing all those things that really contribute to the growth of this podcast. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next one.